All right, well, good morning. How are you? I'm so excited to be here on this stage with you. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Business Show. It's such a delight to see each and every one of you all. I am going to safely assume that everyone here in this audience is either in business, thinking about starting a business, maybe looking to grow or expand a business, need to do your side hustle, your front hustle, your back hustle, somewhere in between there. Is that safe to assume? Awesome, then you're in the right place. Before I get started, I want to give a huge congratulations and thank you to Brian and Linda Jo Thornburg for pulling off Pittsburgh's first Pittsburgh Business Show. So let's give them a round of applause. I remember when Linda Jo and I met a couple of months ago and she said that they were planning this. I thought, wow, what an incredible occasion to bring the number of Pittsburgh-based businesses together to support other entrepreneurs. So I'm very delighted that I've been a part of this process. I was quite pleased and honored that they asked me to spearhead it, and I'm just excited to be here on stage with you. Okay, great. So I know I've got some entrepreneurs in the house. That's fantastic. Now what I'd love to know, just as a means for me to take a pulse, is if you're in business and you own a brick and mortar, all right, you've got a place that you get up, put your clothes on, drive to, there are employees there, you got to clean the toilet every once in a while. Do you own a brick and mortar? Yep, good, all right, fantastic. If you are a solopreneur, you are perhaps you're working from home, you're an author, speaker, coach, consultant of some sort, or you're a solopreneur? All right, fantastic. How about any professionals in the house? Maybe you are a doctor, lawyer, accountant. Yep, fantastic. And anybody in here train whales, walk dogs, something along those lines? You'd be in the other category, yeah? Well, good. Well, you know, I can safely say that I am also with the right crowd. I have been in multiple businesses over the years. In fact, I call myself a serialpreneur. Any serialpreneurs in the house? You've owned more than 3 businesses? Yeah, you know what? We could all go to dinner. We can leave right now and go hang out and go do dinner together because we'd have lots of conversations. So most of you all know me from Channel 11 News. I spent some 20 years there at Channel 11. Loved what I did, loved my job, but I have been an entrepreneur, or what I call a hustlepreneur, for over 40 years. Literally 40 years. I started my first business when I was 8 years old. It was called Bam Bam's Juicy Juice. Started at 8. And I learned a few things in business even at that age. The first is that you really do need to have a product or a service that's somewhat different, that people enjoy, and it should be their gateway for them to know, like, and trust you. And so I dreamed up Bam Bam's Juicy Juice. Now, it wasn't your average lemonade stand. No, this was an orange juice stand that I used red Kool-Aid in my orange juice. Different, right? And it tastes great. I had something different, and it tastes great. And the neighborhood kids loved it. Their parents didn't mind either. Then, the second thing I learned is that location is really important. Now, I have to tell you, I was not about to drag my homemade signs and my stand down to the curb of my Grammy's house in Detroit. I dragged it down to the corner because I knew that all the cars were going to be traveling on the corner, and I had a prime location to sell from. So location, 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 right? And the third thing that I learned is something called leverage. You want to be successful in business? Leverage. So it wasn't good enough for me to just be the only person marketing Bam Bam's Juicy Juice. No, I had to make sure that some of my friends in the neighborhood also took my signs in my stand and my red orange juice. So what did I do? We pooled our money together, gave it to my grandmother, and she'd go out and buy the oranges, and I always had a couple of extra dollars left. And then they went around to their corners and sold Bam Bam's Juicy Juice. So see, really important in business. I could go home now, right? I've given you 3 tips here. Have a great product that people enjoy, that's somewhat different, your gateway for them knowing, liking, and trusting you. You need to think about location, 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 especially if you've got a brick and mortar, and leverage is always the key. But I have to tell you, there were 2 things that put me out of business. It was seasonal, so that didn't work, because the winters in Detroit are bad. And supply and demand. The prices of oranges went up. I guess there was a third thing too. I lost my workforce. My grandmother said she wouldn't do it anymore. So anyway, but those were my early lessons in business, and that was at 8 years old. I can tell you that from there, I went on to selling encyclopedias door to door, selling raffle tickets, any way that I could make some extra money as a young child. And quite frankly, that was really important because at that time I was about 10 or 12 years old, and I can remember that me, my mother, and my brother had a paper route. My mother was a single mom raising 3 children, and whatever we could do to earn a couple of dimes and rub them together was really important. So my hustle at that time was out of necessity. Anybody out here hustling for necessity? You know, when you're 10 and 12 years old, that's quite a bit of a challenge. But what I learned was that it didn't matter that, you know, we were poor and broke at the time. In fact, I don't even think I realized that until at one point in a very cold winter, and I realized that our refrigerator wasn't working. My mom was putting food out on the back porch to keep things cold. And that summer, the stove wasn't working, and so we ended up using hot plates and microwaves. Somewhere in my age, between 10 and 12 years old, and just beyond that, I realized that it's really important to make sure that you're paying attention to your finances, and it's really important that you're doing all that you can. And my mother never let me stop believing in myself. And so by the age of 19, I literally opened a real business. It was called Prelude Services. It was a vending company that I had several contracts throughout the city of Detroit. And we sold pop and potato chips, but it was a great way for me to make some extra money while I was in college. I also got my first television job. I was 19 years old at WGPR, hosting 2 programs, Strictly Speaking and Morning Magazine. And then things really started to take off because I finished college and went on to work at WDTN in Dayton, Ohio. Started another business. I remember I started this conversation telling you that I'm a serial hustlepreneur. So if you're adding it up, I'm going to give, if you can tell me how many different businesses I've had along the way, you win a prize, so pay attention. But anyway, so I spent a few years in Dayton, Ohio, and then I came here to Pittsburgh in February 1993, where I started working at Channel 11 News. And from that point, I really started enjoying the time here in Pittsburgh, meeting lots of people, interviewing several people. But still the thing that coursed through my veins was this desire to be in business. And I joke with people, but I tell them I literally was just a TV person on TV, playing a TV person, but I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. And what I wanted to share with you all today was these 7 steps that I've discovered along my journey. 7 steps that I've used multiple times in the many businesses that I've formed or been a part of. But I also learned that several other successful entrepreneurs use pieces of these 7 steps. So I'm very delighted to share those pieces with you as part of my story and part of my journey. The 7 steps to a successful side hustle. If you guys have a cell phone, I want you to pull it out. I'm going to give you access to the 7 steps. You can download it, and there is an audio that you can listen to. So if you'll pull out your cell phones and text 33444. So just like you're going to send a text to your kids or your friends or whomever, text the number 33444 and then type the word unleash. Unleash. Then hit send and you'll get a message from me. And then if you'll include your email address, just your email address. Now, for any of you all who either don't have your cell phones or texting is pretty challenging, no worries. My booth is right there in the back. You can bring me your business card or you can just sign a form there and I'll send it to you. All right, so include your email address and you will receive in your email a download that includes the 7 steps, which I'm going to go through here shortly, as well as an audio, and you can listen to that. So let me share with you a little bit more as it relates to these 7 steps. So, how many of y'all have big dreams? Like dreams that almost scare you, dreams that are pretty exciting. I know you do. We've been talking about your dreams. Dreams that are just like, oh my God, I have to make this happen. It's coursing through your veins, right? How many of you give yourself permission to dream this big? How many of you all decide that you really want to do that? Well, you know, about 7.5 years ago when I was at Channel 11, I was sitting between shows, and I happened to be on the phone with my sister, and I was just telling her I've run several marathons. I was an avid runner for many years, and I'd just gotten to the point where running was just killing me. My knees were hurting, my back was hurting, and I'm like, I got to find a different thing to do, a different way to exercise. So I'm on the phone with my sister, and she says, I got something for you. I know exactly what you should do. I said, what? She said, you should try pole dancing. Pole dancing? You mean like pole dancing? And she says, yeah, you know, I hear it's a great exercise. You should try it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Tracy, you know, I anchor the news for the NBC affiliate here in Pittsburgh. There's no way I'm going to be pole dancing. But I couldn't get the thought out of my mind. I mean, literally, I'm thinking like, well, wow, those women they look great. They've got strong arms, great abs. Plus, it looks like a lot of fun. So I decided to take a class. I decided I'd try it out. So I go and I sneak up these stairs for my first class, and I walk in, and the boa's going, the lights are going, these women are spinning around the pole, and I'm like, this is not, I gotta go, I can't do this. Like, what are people gonna say? But I decide to go on in, I take my first class, and I fell in love with it. Anybody ever tried pole dancing? Come on. Now, I'm up here admitting it. You can tell me if you have. Anyway, it was a great class. And then I went again and again and again, and I fell in love with it. And I said to myself, wow, this is so great. Everybody should try this. Men and kids. Seriously, you'll get a good workout. But the thought that came to my mind after that is, what are people going to say? What are people going to think? Oh my God. And then I said to myself, what if I opened my own studio? What if I created a place where people could come and enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying it, where they can transform their workout and awaken their spirit? And just then, a dream happened for me. A crazy one at that. Like, anybody have a crazy idea to start something and someone looks at you and says, I don't think you ought to do that. I don't think that's gonna work. Well, but I'd had this vision, and I thought, why not create this beautiful aerial playground where people can come and not only learn to pole dance, but they can learn to do the circus arts, aerial fitness, trapeze, lyra. Oh my goodness, I had all of these visions in my head, and immediately I said, well, I don't even know how to do that. That's not in my background. It's not even in my foreground. I anchor the news. How do you open up something like that? And yet I had a dream, and as crazy as it was, I decided that I was going to go for it. And I started doing my research, and I started planning, and I started talking to people. And I had, in a very short period of time, after meeting with and working very closely with a business coach, a plan in place to open Full Body Fitness Club. And within a short period of time, I'd hired 16 amazing instructors and opened this incredible facility in Brentwood. And I can tell you that Full Body Fitness Club is all that I ever dreamed it to be. If you ever want to learn how to not only pole dance, by the way, because there's a lot of other classes that are offered there. If you've ever seen a Cirque du Soleil show and the beautiful fabric that the dancers are performing in, it's a gorgeous workout. And lyra and trapeze. And Full Body Fitness Club became the first aerial fitness studio in the city of Pittsburgh. But even more amazing what happened was because I kept dreaming and wanted this to be even larger, I ended up partnering with Reebok and Cirque du Soleil to bring two very unique programs that were only offered overseas to here in the United States, Jukari Fit to Fly and Fit to Flex. And Full Body became the first studio in the United States to offer those two classes in partnership with Reebok and Cirque du Soleil. So the reason I tell you this story is because it happens to be the first step in my 7 steps to a successful side hustle, and that is to dream. You gotta dream, and you gotta dream big. And no matter how crazy it may sound, no matter how outlandish it may appear, even to yourself sometimes or the people around you, you gotta go for it if you feel it. How many of y'all have a real dream that's burning in your belly and you're really ready to go after it. It's your dream. You deserve to have it. The second step is to decide. Once you've got a dream, you've got to make a decision to act. You must decide. You must take action. And I can tell you, after I got Full Body Fitness Club up and running, I was still working at Channel 11 News. I had begun working with It Works Global and selling these incredible skinny wraps. And that journey was really interesting because it allowed me to start thinking more about time freedom. Now, let me tell you what happened. Between working at Channel 11, running Full Body Fitness Club, now having a second business, which was with It Works Global, a network marketing business, I realized I was running out of time because I was quite busy. Anybody running out of time? Having time issues, time balance, even trying to do your business, your side hustle, because you don't have enough time? You'll make time for the things that you want. You will make time for the things that are important to you. You can almost bend time if it's that important to you. I had to make a decision, and that decision was based on a very strong internal why. And I often tell people, when you've got a why, when you've got a reason behind something that is so compelling, you will move mountains, you will bend time, you will make things happen for yourself. I was getting off an airplane in January 2013, and my son was there to pick me up. And I had had this decision in my head for some time, but I was really ready to act on it. So he's there to pick me up, and I get in the car, and he's doing his thing. He's driving. He's got music going, and I said, Trey, I want to tell you something. I need to have a conversation with you. This has been on my mind for some time. He's barely paying attention to me. I'm like, son, I really need you to pay attention to what I have to say, because I was really prepared to make this decision known. And so finally he looked over at me and I said, listen, I know you're going into your senior year of high school in the fall. And quite frankly, I know that I've been so very busy that I've missed many of your football games. In fact, I think if I could count, I had probably been to about 3 of them. And I knew how important that was to him. And so I looked at him and I said, I've got to share something with you. I've made a decision. I'm going to quit Channel 11 News. I'm going to retire. And he looked over at me and he said, Mom, would you do that for me? And I said to him, of course I would. I mean, you're my baby. Why wouldn't? And I realized that right then and there, I had a major decision to make. And I knew that what I wanted more than anything was to be sitting in the stands in his senior year and watching him play every one of his football games, because I was not prepared to send this child off to college, and I was so busy working, doing all of these businesses. So the decision that I made, of course, was to leave Channel 11. But then I had to go to work. I really had to hustle, because I just told this boy I was leaving. And I had to make some money so I could just get that going, right? So that's January. And I had literally said, whatever needs to happen between now and September, I'm going to put into place, because I will be in those stands. And my vision was so crystal clear. And that's all I thought about. And I went to work. And I went from making just a couple of $100s a month to becoming the 54th highest paid distributor out of 70,000 distributors in It Works Global. Why? Because I had a why. Because I had a drive. Because I had a reason. Because I made a decision. So here's my question for you. What's your why? What is your why? You say you have a dream. You say you're ready to decide, to act, but what's the why? What's the piece that's driving you? When you have a compelling why, you will bend time, you will move mountains, you will make magic happen. Second step in my 7 steps. So, if I fast forward, because I got lots to say in a short period of time, I eventually sold Full Body Fitness Club. Of course, I left Channel 11. That was, it'll be 4 years. I cannot believe it, in September. My son managed to go to Vanderbilt University. He's now going to be a senior. Boy, time really flies. I became a certified life and business coach. I wrote a book. By the way, there are copies of the book at my table behind there. And I launched a video podcast show called Hustle and Heart TV, where I interviewed several successful entrepreneurs to learn the hustle and the heart of an entrepreneur. I was also able to again, qualify more pieces in these 7 steps because each of them were telling me some of the same stories about how they became successful. And what I realized is that we all have them, we're all using them. It's just a matter of us really having faith, which happens to be the 3rd step. Faith in ourselves and faith in whatever your higher power is, and trusting that to move you forward. And so as I literally stepped out into this world of what I call becoming a freedom-based entrepreneur, basically I travel around a lot. I coach a lot of my clients over the phone and over my laptop, and I call it kind of a freedom-based entrepreneur. I am totally out here on faith, right? How many of y'all ever feel like that sometimes that's all you have left is faith? Yeah? Lean into it. Hold on to it. It matters. In fact, it's often not used enough, so I encourage you to use it. So the other thing I think that's really important when you are looking to develop a business, looking to grow it, it's to really be in a very emotional place around this. Like really start to feel and sense and see what it is that you want. And it's so much so that, I mean, you almost have to get up and do a happy dance every time there's a small success that happens, right? Anybody do come on, anyone do happy dances when somebody buys your product or likes your page or signs up for your, a happy dance, right? Yeah, what's that? Yeah, or sing, sing, dance, whatever it takes. Getting into emotion, really emotionalizing what you want in a very positive way, I believe is like fuel, right? Getting excited about things is so very important. Remaining is, even if you've got to talk with friends that help you to think about what it means to be very excited about something, that is like the fuel that you need. In fact, I often say, go put a deposit on your dream. If you want a brand new car, if for you, your side hustle is to make some extra money because you want a brand new car, go test drive it. Take it out for the afternoon, pick up a friend and go to lunch. Whatever it takes, enjoy it, but really emotionalize it. Happens to be the 4th step. 5th step is take action. You gotta take action. You've got to remain in action. I can tell you that about a year ago, I started developing these workshops called See and Be Seen. It's an opportunity for me to work with small business owners in a very intimate setting. And we cover 4 areas around really getting clear on what your goals are. Maybe there's some things that are blocking you. And so we really dive deep in that. We also look at creating strategic plans for action and setting up structure to support you in business. The 3rd area that we focus in on is visibility, how to be more visible both online and offline. And then the 4th piece is perhaps the most important piece, and that is to really get clear around your own money story and what you're charging and your own worth. So I started hosting these See and Be Seen workshops because I wanted to find a way to connect more closely with business owners. And what I was realizing is that in this space in online marketing on the internet, oftentimes there's this disconnect. Anybody an online marketer, or you're trying to primarily get your customers or clients through social media? Anyone? Yeah? So the challenge sometimes with that is the disconnect, right? We're so used to shaking hands and giving hugs and being involved with people. Well, I was really, frankly, getting tired of spending so much time trying to find people online, and I decided, let me go back to old school. Whatever happened to people just like, let's get 4 or 5 people in a room and let's connect, let's share, let's pull some resources together. And so See and Be Seen was born. But outside of that, what I started to realize was, wow, this is, more people should be hosting their own workshops and live events. And why not? What's holding people back? Maybe it's because they don't have a plan in place. Maybe they need to look at proper promotion for it. Maybe they are hung up on the pricing around it. So I developed something called Workshop Formula, which is a step-by-step, rinse and repeat program to help you take whatever your expertise is and structure it in a day's workshop. We even help you put the content together so that you can deliver it in a live format. And within a relatively short period of time, I had several clients that were doing very successful, hosting their own workshops and boot camps. So what I realized was the more you can get people into action quickly, the better the results. That's my 5th step in the 7 steps. By the way, this has been emailed to you, and if you're just joining me, I want to let you all know that you can leave me your email in the back, or you can text 33444 and include the word unleash to get a copy of the 7 steps. So moving you forward, the 6th step in all of this is to trust. And trust is really about trusting yourself. Trust is really about trusting that you will do what it is that you said you were going to do, in spite of any of the obstacles, in spite of any of the challenges. How many of you all trust yourselves? Do you truly trust yourself? Do you truly trust? And you know, it's a challenge, because you also know when you've let yourself down, right? If you're honest, you know the times that you said you were going to do something and you didn't do it. So trusting is about believing that you are more than capable of achieving what it is that you want. And finding that level of trust happens when you act and you stay committed and you're accountable to yourself. Trust is very important if you want to be successful, because if you don't trust you, how do you expect anybody else to trust you? 6th step in the 7 steps. The 7th step is to receive. And that's simply to receive in all of the fullness and greatness that you deserve. And oftentimes in receiving, sometimes we're challenged by that. And I think typically because we don't allow ourselves to look ourselves in the mirror and pat ourselves on the back and say, "That a girl, you did a good job. You deserve to receive the accolades that you deserve." Sometimes receiving also is about just opening up when someone tells you that and saying, "Why, thank you," instead of pushing it aside. We often do that. So I invite you to really take in these 7 steps and to think about them. When you have the opportunity to download it and read it in full detail, I think you'll find it to be very supportive. The other piece to it is there's an audio, and so I guide you through the 7 steps, and you may find that beneficial. And again, anyone who didn't get a text message from me, you can see me at the back of the room. I want to share with you 2 specials that I have today that I'm offering as part of the Pittsburgh Business Show, and I'm really excited about offering that to you. One of them is, if you're interested at all in what coaching can provide to you in business, I invite you to consider that with me. There are many extremely successful coaches in the world, and I've had the great fortune to work with several of them. I have to say that I owe a tremendous amount of the success that I've had to many of the coaches that I've worked with. And then after becoming a certified life and business coach 3.5 years ago, I've had the great opportunity to support a lot of other business owners in their journey. Coaching is different than, I believe, if you've never had a coach before. It's a little bit different of an experience, but if you're out here doing it on your own, if you're a solopreneur, there is nothing better than having someone to check in with every once in a while. Having someone to hold you accountable, right? I've got folks nodding in the background. So coaching is awesome. So I've got a 90-minute strategy session. It's half off, which is great. You can see me at the back of the room if you're interested at all, and just taking me for a test drive, 90 minutes. After that, if you decide that coaching makes sense for you, then we can look at what that looks like for you. But I can tell you, if you're looking for someone to help you create a strategic plan of action, help to hold you accountable so that you do what it is that you say you're going to do, help you become more visible and really look at ways that you can stand out and unleash your passions, then you may want to consider a strategy session with me. The other special that I'm offering, really excited about this because I am doing tomorrow at 11 o'clock in room 333 a breakout on the workshop formula. The workshop formula is a new course for me. It's online. It is designed to help you plan, promote, and profit from your own workshop or live event. So if you are someone who has content, if you're a coach, a speaker, an author, a consultant, or someone who's got a really interesting story to tell, and you'd like to package that into a format where you can deliver that to a live audience, the workshop formula can help you do that. We also help you with marketing and ways to actually get the word out about your workshop, as well as pricing and enrolling your participants, and then helping you to do upsells into your other products or services. It's all available for you online. It's 170 pages of content and over 10 hours of recorded material. I've also included 4 additional experts in the workshop formula, so you'll learn from a content course creator. You'll also learn from a social media expert, a copywriting expert, and a branding expert. That's all included in the workshop formula for you. And you also get me for 6 months. I do a live Q&A call, and over the 6 months, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, and I'm sure you're going to have those. So workshop formula is also priced half off just these 2 days, so you've got to get it if you're at all interested during the Pittsburgh Business Show, and there are forms and information there in the back. So what I want to share with you before I wrap again is the just in recap, the 7 steps. And I have to tell you, it's so interesting. I've been doing each of these steps, as I said, throughout the course of my 40 years in business. But what I found is, after interviewing so many successful entrepreneurs, it was clear to me that success really does leave clues. There is a formula to it. And if you use it, and use it consistently, you'll find that you will make a measurable difference in your business and in your life. So I do invite you to take these, to enjoy them, to really use them in your life. They also can apply even if you're not starting a business. You may find it to be very helpful to support you in other aspects of your life. It is truly my gift to you, and I hope that you will enjoy it. I'll be at the back over there at the table. I've got books over there if you're interested in the workshop formula and or some private strategic coaching. I'm happy to do that. I thank you all for coming out. I can answer questions over the table. And again, I want to give another huge thank you to Brian and Linda Jo Thurnberg for pulling off the Pittsburgh Business Show. You guys have worked so incredibly hard, and I'm so grateful that I've been a part of this process with you. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the show.